desk. Ladies and gentlemen, it's time to get into our round number 12. Just 3 games remaining today. Gentlemen, take it away.
Round 12 of the ESL Katowice Royale is live, and we're riding on with Saf and Zayt, and oh boy, if other people are dropping on them, this is going to be the closest thing we've seen to a pub game start with everybody in Tilted Towers. But for now, they're drifting up. We've seen them drop so many times around Loot Lake, so nothing too different on this start for them.
Still contested here though, over at Viking. We do still have Sexorb and Vinny not changing it up. They worked out for them last game. And yeah, they're contested. Might be a rerun here with Aim Hero and Fax Fox.
But they'd learned. They'd actually brought the gameplay in where it's saying, okay, let's not full-on loot. Let's just grab what we can and take a very smart fight. Meanwhile, some of the other leaders here, Cripper and Boya, very high up on the standings, getting a llama to start this game off, gets those materials. And this is a fight we're going to keep our eyes on all the time, because Zexro and Vinny, same plan as before, sitting back, but Fax Fox and Aim Hero are doing a similar thing themselves. They say, okay, we lost the last duel, we have to be more careful, because for Aim Hero and Fax Fox, this is about them also climbing up the leaderboard. It's not only about denying points, because at all times, each player has a 5-point bounty on their head for that elimination. So even taking out the league leaders, you get those points, you rack up the scoreboard and try and get into that top 20 to get the earning placements. That's right.
We see a little bit of slower gameplay going on over there at Viking, just taking their time, farming up some mats. They were falling a bit short on mats the previous round. So yeah, a better change up. Hoopek and Skix are a bit lucky.
This is a very interesting fight because it's the opposite end of the scoreboard that are actually fighting down in Lucky. Hoopex and Skix and the Chinese duo both sat in that last 5 position. And realistically, the bottom end of the scoreboard, one game lifts you right the way up. If you can get to the end game, get to a bunch of eliminations, that can drastically change where you end up finishing in this tournament.
Yeah, that's right. And as we can see right now, earlier on the map here, we had 3 teams in Tilted, we have 3 teams in Dusty Diva, so it does look like players are changing it up a little bit, and yeah, I hope we can see some of that action going on very soon.
And that means Bizzle and Demo have extra competition over at Dusty.
Yep.
Aiden and Nick Merckx, we've talked about a lot over at Tilted, sticking to that game plan for the most part. So they haven't really got a whole lot of points from it, but that's that aggro play and how it's a lot trickier to make it work in this points format, where a lot of the points are in placements and then mixing in eliminations alongside. So this is a very, very precarious engage between Zexro and Vinny. You can see everybody just peeking, but not committing to a fight yet, as Aim Hero is trying to get higher and higher. Can't quite find what he's looking for, and his loadout is pretty sparse right now, enough to get the job done in close quarters, though.
Yeah, and I'm quite surprised to see Aim Hero and Fax Fox pushing up a little bit here. They do not have any shields. Vinny and Sexro, they do have pretty good inventory going on. They have good inventory, they have shields, and as soon as they land a hit on either Aim Hero or Fax Fox, they'll notice that they have no shields, and they will just start to push up. Probably Metro going down in Tilted.
Metro down very early as Maki and Ryux, another duo that we haven't seen too much from this weekend, actually picking up a big elimination for themselves. This is what we're talking about. A few elims can change the complexion of the scoreboard as we go into the last couple of rounds, as Maki takes a lot of damage from Jules and Mies, as they're going to build down, try and trade some of this back, but that's Jules getting dropped as Ryux was able to put him down, and as he goes into the box, who's going to come out ahead? It's Mies is going to drop Ryux. There's dynamite ticking somewhere.
Just going down too quick, just taking that elimination for granted. Not something you want to do. Stick with your teammate, push up together, and secure the elimination.
Jules goes down from that dynamite. Second elimination from Ryux as he drops down to try and convert the duo for that third of the game, and he's going to play this slower, going to try and just own this entire area, almost boxing Mies in like a rat trap here at this point. But look, Mies has found his way out of the trap and is trying to turn it back around from himself. Klingers has another one, trying to disrupt this, does tag the shields, and look at how low Maki is. Maki thought he maybe had Mies completely trapped, but it's gone the other way.
Because I like how Marky just rotated around that area and picked up all of the loot as it did, but he did end up losing high ground over it and trying to make his way out. I'm not sure if he's want to engage or yeah, he does want to engage, and he reclaims high ground.
He's got that compact SMG here as well if he wants to shred through. Wood does get damage off at first, and now the hunt is on for Marky as he tries to go. Two big things popping up in the action feed as Zexro has eliminated FaxFox. That was the fight over at Viking that we were tracking earlier on, but that fight will persist for a long time as they've actually dropped all the way away from Viking on this exchange, but they're still in the safe zone because it's focused down in the southwest of this map for the first zone. The crowd are behind him.
I'm surprised he hasn't developed some sort of phobia for these cannons, but well, you know, if you're scared, you're not going to get anywhere. 7 SSK and Jamside in a little bit of a skirmish here versus Ares.
And we didn't see 7 SSK, 7 and Jamside in the last game, I feel, but they have been doing exceptionally well over the last few, you know, rounds. Yesterday specifically, like 7 SSK, 7 had the eliminations racked up. It's only today that we've really seen the big numbers they put up. I think they had 9 in one game. That got obliterated in the last two games where Camo and Zayt and Saf both put up massive numbers for themselves. And
very consistent indeed. But let's see if they can make their way out of Salt here. Oh, goes down by Jamside.
Yeah, Jamside's going to try and convert this into elimination, but he's got to be careful because he's a little bit in a treacherous position as well, as Ares is trying his best to pick off anyone that he can, but runs right into that shotgun, and Ares is out of round 12.
Lands on 4 eliminations and looking really good with the inventory. But we see Fa in history here. They hear that there's been a fight going on and they want the piece of the action.
Yeah, the vultures circling to try and pick off anything that they can from the scraps, and that's history. Getting knocked down, they've bitten off a little bit more than they could chew. As Far now has to 1v2. It's Jamside and 7 SSK7 trying to convert this, and Bizzle and Demo in the action feed have dropped as well. Another one of our league leaders that we've been looking at all the way through. You just saw it in the top of your screen confirming that elimination. As Far is trying to bring history back into the game, but look at 7 SSK7. He's knocking on that door, trying to find anything that he can. This is a long red. Storm Surge does become active, but 7 SSK7 hasn't been able to convert it. As Far actually eliminates him from the game. Mistiming out of the Russian and Belarusian duo. And also have to deal a little bit of damage from afar. We've got to tag people, and I think that's that adaptation that players are starting to realize with this specific format.
Yeah, that's right. I mean, with Storm Surge, you can choose to fight on your own terms. If you do get those early fights going on, you raise the threshold. Oh, look at this. Coffee is already down and Beehive is making his way out.
Easy elimination at the end of it for Saf as Beehive had backed himself away. So Saf and Zayt on the board for round 12. And we'll see whether they can get
favorite of a lot of players. Heading into short replay here, Stress.
Oh, and this is Zexro and Vinny. This fight we were talking about, how important that was. Aim Hero ended up falling, and then Zexro from the high ground was able, by the looks of it, to pick up the pieces. FaxFox, there is no running away from Zexro when he has you in his sights. Looks like he was able to convert that, as this was Jamside and 7 SSK7 nearly ending up on the bad side of an exchange. Nikov and Airwax out of the window, trying to pick up as many eliminations as possible. They will be looking to climb the points and upset Zayt and Saf, who is sat over 90 points in the lead in first place.
Storm Surge is active, but a lot of players have dropped already. There's only 56 players alive, and we're heading into the 5th circle, which is a bit lower than we're used to. We see Jordan in 72 hours going down there in the action feed, and Lolito as well.
Yeah, and you mentioned how many fewer players there are. This is what we were talking about with the fact that this has been an aggressive game. This is just insane action all the time. Everybody's peeking out of windows, trying to find anybody they can. And as I said at the beginning of this game, every single person, whether you're at the top of the leaderboard or at the bottom of the leaderboard, you are worth 5 points when you get eliminated. And that is why people are starting to go so aggressive.
That's right, we do hear a nade launcher popping off there somewhere. And as you saw in the map in the bottom right corner, look at this, the mountain goating here by the edge of Polar Peak. This is bound to get real interesting, real fast. And Trip and Boy are doing really good this game as well. As a nade launcher and just firing it down on whatever team was down there, just camping it off.
Oh, I wonder whether we're going to get to that mountain climb, as people are going to have to build up, utilize the vertical game as well up the side. The terrain, this is one of these moments where it actually has that impact, and you can see some of the players that get left behind and straggle down at the bottom will get caught, and they will end up falling to the zone, because you have to beat the zone up that mountain. Otherwise, it is incredibly difficult. You basically have to choose to fight if you get caught in the back.
Yeah, that's true. We do see Poach and Vivi going down in the action feed by Trippa and as well Eric. Just a beautiful spot here by Trippa and Boyer. They can just see everything from it. Ooh, beautiful hits. Kites are almost down. Very, very low. Trippa and Boyer currently ranked number 3.
Look at this position.
Another elimination. Now they're up to 3.
That position just peeking out through the floor and just getting this beautiful angle. That's what we were talking about. They made it up on the high ground early, and that means everybody has to come towards them, and there's so many exposed angles, so many people. Zexro did just fall, as I think that was Airwax and Nikov were able to get an elimination there. Animal and Aspect are still up in this game as well. Another duo that is hovering just outside of the top, I believe, trying to make their way into the leader position. Vinny on his own for the rest of this game now, and he's got to try and recoup that 90 points that they had coming into today and ended up losing because of the way they got challenged very hard at Viking.
But they are within the points. There's 23 teams left, so at this point, if you're solo, just stay along for as long as possible, get those 3 points, and yeah, you might be able to rack up some points. And the circle, we just saw in the bottom right corner again here that the circle's moving up far north by the edge of the mountain once again.
How tricky is this zone? Looking at it, it looks like it runs right along the outside of the mountain.
So it's going to touch, it's going to go through the mountain, right? It's not going to go around. So all these players on low ground are going to have a real issue getting up unless they have a rift to go.
We know there are a few on the field, and there are a few launch pads that are already down, so there will be a little bit of assistance. You can see people starting to fly up and make their way around, but it certainly is a whole lot trickier. There we go. The mountain edge cuts directly through the safe zone, so we basically are split on 2 levels completely here in the game, and the subsequent circles are going to determine it, and the RPGs from the high ground are going to do it as well, because it is so difficult to build up, and you can see that come into effect by how many eliminations just racked up. We lost Smeef, we lost Vinny. Vinny has dropped in this game, and who is still there? Sinnoh and Envy with the absolute high ground now at the top. Zayt and Saf up there as well. Boyer, Cripper still alive. Margins down at the bottom. There's a few other duos left in this, but this is a very tricky situation to be in.
The zone's going back. It's going back up on the mountain, so whoever's on top right now will have a clear advantage.
Yes, and as you said, it is back directly over the mountain, so now has to be the rift to goes, and we've seen them already. So for Saf and Zayt, they are okay. They're in a fine situation. They don't have that ultimate high ground, but they may be able to retake it from Sinnoh and Envy, who dropped down. I wonder whether they don't have the materials to build over the top.
We saw Boyer going down there as well, probably through some. Vindy's down, Violin trying to clutch it out, but they are at the bottom of the mountain. There's no real way to get out of there unless you have a rift, like we mentioned.
Zayt and Saf are going to take this fight against Envy and Sinnoh right at the top. It's Aspect. They're trading as much as they can. It's Aspect comes in on the side. Sinnoh up to 3 eliminations for himself. This is such a compact fight at this point. So many people have been dropped down at the bottom, including Nikov. I'm looking to see whether Airwax is still alive, his duo.
And Zayt and Saf, they have high ground once again. Just look at their inventory. It's looking really good for them. And Crippa going down eventually.
There's that high ground. It was Saf that picked up that elimination, and they are doing an incredible job. They are the only team so far to pick up 2 victory royales, and they could very well be closing it on another. X8 drops in on them, but does he drop? He gets knocked down. X8 doesn't convert it. Now they are just guarding this high ground.
You can't challenge the kings of high ground without getting punished, and look at that. They're just holding it. They have 6 eliminations, and they're going for more. They're up to 7.
And they still have the high ground despite dropping, because they're going to try and use this RPG to pick off as many as they can. Zayt, I believe, did get the elimination credit for that. He did, as that was Razaru, and Zayt and Saf are having the games of their lives as they are up to 8 eliminations. They are 90 points clear already on the field, and this is a fantastic performance.
This is just insane to me. I do not know how this is possible at
Saf
this
just
point.
got Stompy as well. There's only 5 players left. 4 duos. It's them against the world as Vato is desperately trying to stay in this. Shinken is on the edge of the storm, and Zayt and Saf, they've played the late game so fantastically. They've used the Rift to go to keep themselves alive, and they have the high ground. This is beautiful. They're letting Shinken and Stompy fight against each other for safety as this zone transfers across. They're dying to the storm. There's almost no real way for them to get through in time.
They can just stay on top and just wait this out. Just look at that Shinken just fighting there, trying to hold on for his dear life.
They're trying to shoot it down to 1 as it's only Shinken that survives. Zayt and Saf are trying to convert, and they do!
Unbelievable!
3 victory royales for Zayt and Saf, and surely that's it. Surely they've put enough points between themselves and the rest of the field with an incredible round 12 win.
That shows we still have 2 games left today, even with this incredible points lead that they have, currently sat on 711 points. If they do not make it to the end game, if they fall out for whatever reason of those placement points, this is still a competition that they could lose.
Absolutely, and this is where, as they were expecting, or as they said, they now have to expect people to drop on them. And I wonder whether Cripper and Boya look at that and say, okay, maybe it's us that has to go. Zexro and Finny, maybe they say, okay, maybe it's us that has to challenge them, because if they're left alone to even get points at this point, it's very difficult to chase them.
And that's the point, is that it's not just a case of taking them out of the game at some point. You have to take them out early, because it's not just placements. You can't let them get those eliminations either.